I'm proud to kick this off today. We're proud to welcome Kristen Hawkins at our State House. You know, she has fought for life all over the United States. Her organization is incredible. And for her to take the time to come to South Carolina honors me and all these folks behind me. The fight for life is something that is not a political issue. It's a moral issue. Every day I wake up, I think about the 2,400 babies that we're losing in South Carolina to legal abortion. Legal abortion. Not to mention the illegal abortions. So that's 11 every business day. So today we will lose 11 more babies in our state. We've got to put a stop to this. We've got to put a stop to it. And I'm going to never stop standing for life. We also have Jason Rapert here today. Senator Rapert is the founder of the National Association of Christian Lawmakers. And we're honored to have him too. He has stood up for what's right in this country. And our organization has representatives in all 50 states, and we come together twice a year to promote Christian legislation. And at the top of that list is always life, And so the Human Life Protection Act is something that I will always stand for, and I know these folks behind me will too. And I want to thank them for coming and thank everybody for being here, and especially the students. I'm so encouraged that we have young people who care about this issue and care about life. And it's not just a political issue, so they know that life is number one. Without life, you don't have any rights. So thank you.
My name is Kristen Hawkins. I'm the president of Students for Life Action and Students for Life America. We're here today because it's the almost end of a legislative session, and there is a blockade on the Human Life Protection Act, HB 3457. That blockade is being led by the Sister Speaker Merle Smith and Judiciary Chairman Wes Newton. With more than 1,500 groups that we are honored to serve across the country, more than 200,000 active, engaged pro-life gen alumni and student leaders, the dozens of Students for Life groups here across the Palmetto State, we are outraged, absolutely outraged, that the GOP caucus, the leaders here in the South Carolina State House, are refusing to advance a bill to end the violent destruction of preborn children. 2,400 children who will die this year from legal abortion in South Carolina. This is deja vu all over again. In 2023, legislators here in the House passed the Human Life Protection Act. It was 3 sister senators, GOP sister senators in the Senate, who blockaded the bill and stood with the pro-abortion Democrats, who were later lauded by the New York Times, who were lauded by the John F. Kennedy Center for their heroism in supporting the violence of abortion. All 3 of those sister senators, after our students went and educated their neighbors, their constituents, all 3 of those sister senators lost their re-elections last summer in their primaries. But now, with pro-life champions in the South Carolina Senate, suddenly this bill can't seem to get a vote in the South Carolina House. So today we're going to be here asking now the sister speaker, Merle Smith, now the Judiciary Chairman, Wes Newton, to stop and think about what they're doing. I know there's a lot of issues that go on in the legislative season. Apparently there's a bunch of casino bills everyone has time to talk about. But I think protecting preborn South Carolinian babies should be number one. Ending the violence of abortion, the violent abortion industry that still profits off of despair of women in the state, who lies to women and paternalistically tells young women in South Carolina that they can't do it all, that they can't graduate high school, that they can't achieve their career goals or college education goals unless they pay them to violently end their life, to stand with those folks and then to claim that they're pro-life when it comes time for their election? Nah. The pro-life generation isn't going to fall for this. We're not going to fall for politics as usual. This is now a national issue. Now the national pro-life movement is concerned about what is happening here at the South Carolina State House. Why self-proclaimed GOP leaders are trying to kick a member out of the GOP caucus for fulfilling the platform of the GOP, which is to end the violence of abortion. If you ask me, the GOP caucus should all go and resign, because they aren't living up to our Republican Party platform. The party that was founded to be for the people, for freedom for all people, to guarantee that every American, every person living in this country has the fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, no matter their skin color, no matter their location, no matter their perception of their abilities or their age or their location. Consider chemical abortion pills today. Chemical abortion pills that we know are now flooding into Palmetto State. In addition to surgical abortions who are killing the majority of children. A new report just last week proves that the FDA has been lying to us for 25 years. It's not 0.5% of women who face serious, life-threatening adverse effects from chemical abortion pills. It's 1 in 10. It's 22 times higher than what the FDA has told us. Yet these pills are flooding into the state with the lie that they're simply like taking a Tylenol. They're enabling sex abusers and rapists who can order these pills without even proving they're a woman. They're killing children. They're polluting what we now know is our wastewater with anti-progesterone metabolites that now affects our drinking water, because as we have proven, wastewater treatment plants don't clean that up. The dangers of abortion, whether surgical or chemical, are well documented. As legislators here in the Rotunda, it is time to protect South Carolinians, protect women from a predatory industry who sells her short and then sells her abortion. It's time to protect the preborn, the most vulnerable in our society, who have no voice, but have found it in a man like John McCravey and the leaders behind me. And it doesn't matter your party affiliation, by the way. We actually have students today here I'm pretty sure aren't Republican, are probably all too happy to call out Republicans for failing to do their job. This isn't, as John said, this isn't a political issue that's just Republican. This is a human rights issue that every American, left and right, should care about. Because when we stop saying that babies in the wombs matter, that their lives matter, that every human has intrinsic value and worth simply because of whose image they were created in, when we stop saying that, that leads to human rights violations across the board. Today, we're here to say, South Carolina House leadership, you have failed to act. You have failed to protect South Carolinian women. You have failed to protect South Carolinian babies, and no more. Your constituents will know what you did, just like these 3 sister senators who are now former senators. Your constituents will know how you betrayed them. They will know how you attacked fellow GOP members, because they were brave enough to stand for preborn babies. Speaker Smith, Chairman Wes Newton, this is your last chance to bring this bill up for a simple vote that will save more than 2,400 little babies, little preborn girls and boys who deserve a chance at a great life here in South Carolina. The pro-life generation will be watching. We don't forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen, and thank you, Representative McCravey. I'm Jason Rayford. I'm the founder and president of the National Association of Christian Lawmakers, and I'm here today for 2 reasons. Number 1, to support Representative McCravey. Representative McCravey has actually been a part of the NACL since its inception. And one of the first model bills that the National Association of Christian Lawmakers passed was actually a model bill to support life. It was actually the heartbeat bill. And it was then followed up by the Human Life Protection Act, or the Human Life Amendment, depending on what state that you're talking about. We're in lockstep with Students for Life, and I appreciate the great work that you have done and you continue to do around the country. And you never should have to apologize for speaking up for life. So thank you, Kristen, for what you do. I want to say just briefly today, in my capacity, that the members of the NACL, which are in all 50 states in the country now, we also have 37 states where there is a state senator or state representative that chairs in that state. And I speak on behalf of all of those members today to say that South Carolina needs to support this bill and take the time to speak up for life. You know, on the Declaration of Independence, it's very easy for us to recount the words. We are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The very first right, the most fundamental civil right in the country, is life. And I am sad that I have seen here in South Carolina that you have people that are glad to put pro-life on that postcard when they send it to voters, suddenly not have time to take up the Human Life Protection Act. They do have time. When you're here talking about casino gambling, but you don't have time to talk about life, I ask all Republicans in South Carolina to look at your platform and see which one shows up in that platform. It shows up that we support life. I want to address something on a personal basis here today. Aside from our support from the Human Life Protection Act and the fact that South Carolina can and should pass this bill, I want to speak to something that's personal to me. I have heard that this has devolved into some slurs against this good man and his integrity. And one of the worst that I've heard is that someone had the audacity to say that John McCravey is anti-Semitic. Well, I stand here to tell you that I have a mountain of evidence that opposes that, and whether it's the speaker or the chairman, whoever is the root of that rumor, should apologize to this man and recant. You know why? Because the NACL is now known as one of the most pro-Israel and one of the most important entities in the paralegislative community that supports Jewish relations with Christians and with America. I literally just returned, John, from Israel just 2 days ago. There, at the request of government officials, Mike Huckabee, that is the ambassador of America to Israel now, is on our board of advisors that John has worked with from day one. We have a policy that says we support Judeo-Christian values. We also have issued resolution after resolution. Our members have carried the anti-BDS legislation. Our members have passed legislation opposing anti-Semitism. And you're going to say that an officer of the NACL is anti-Semitic? It is a horrible lie. Now, I served for 12 years in the Arkansas State Senate, and I learned one thing. If you're going to attack somebody, you better do it with the truth. And I'm here today to tell you that this lie against John McCravey is absolutely false. And it should reveal to everybody standing in this state house how low some people will go. I ask every reporter, you check the facts. I'll provide you the information, and you're going to find that this slur hurled at this man was horrible. And I'm going to say one last thing on that note. And that is, if you're going to use the term anti-Semitism, which is horrible, you better do it very judiciously. Because the people that have done this, in my view, it is anti-Semitic to use the term loosely and cheapen that just to try to take a shot at a good man. I'm going to say last as I close, the NACL unequivocally supports the Human Life Act here in South Carolina. We support this family caucus. We support John McCravey, and this is mine. This is all personal. Don't you blame John. Don't you blame Students for Life. But in Proverbs chapter 6, 16 through 19, it says there are 6 things that God hates. Yea, 7 are an abomination. Number 1, he hates the hands of those that shed innocent blood. Now, I've heard that somebody was taking exception because students, young people that want to protect life, they got upset because they passed out some flyers at a church. Well, I'd just like to know where people are supposed to talk about life if they don't talk about it at church? And I'd like to know, just where should people talk about life if they're not going to do it with the scripture? And for those of you upset about people coming on the parking lot, just you don't forget that Jesus went into the temple and he turned over the tables over the people that were not doing right. I'm telling you that the other thing I'll mention out of those 6, and people will be looking up Proverbs chapter 6, 16 through 19, it says that God also hates those that sow discord among brethren. I've been told that there is a circulating effort to get people to resign from this family caucus using falsehoods, using attacks. Those that are responsible should actually rebuke that. They should recant it. They should apologize to this man. And those of you that have fallen prey to those falsehoods, you should come back to the family caucus. I'm proud to have traveled here today to stand up for life and to stand up for my friend John McCravey, and I ask all of South Carolina to do the same. Thank you, gentlemen.
Kristen, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. Your group has caused quite a stir here at the South Carolina State House, but I wanted to start with a very fundamental question. The legislators that you guys have targeted, they're sponsors of this bill. Why would they sponsor a bill and then fail to follow through on that?
That's politics, right? Because when election season comes around, you can say, I sponsored all these bills. I don't know why they are passed. This is what we see sadly time and time again in state legislatures. And it's ridiculous. You think about 2023 when this bill passed the House chamber. It was the 3 sister senators in the Senate who killed the bill. After we educated voters and our students had the heat stroke to prove it this summer, all 3 of those sister senators lost re-election. And now they know if it passes the House, it's going to pass the Senate, it's going to become law, end abortion, save 3,500 children a year. And they're not willing to do that. They're willing to put their name to say they are pro-life when it comes to election season. But when it comes time to have a spine and do the right thing, they failed to do that. And that is why we've been educating folks about the sister speaker, Merle Smith, Judiciary Chairman Wes Newton, about what is happening here, because too few people pay attention to what happens at the State House, at the Rotunda. It's time that we shine a light and make this really a national issue. When we started seeing the attacks on our students, when I saw the attacks from the chairman of the Judiciary Committee of the House of South Carolina attacking pro-life students for knocking on doors, that was it. Now it's a national issue. Now the national pro-life movement is going to bring on the heat to the legislators of South Carolina to uphold their values, because this is not within the South Carolinian values. South Carolinians support life. And even the conversations we've been having with the neighbors of the sister speaker, the neighbors of the Judiciary Chairman, they're outraged when they find out what's been happening here. And all of the bills, all of the pro-life bills, all of the pro-life family bills that have been put in a drawer and we've been told, sit down, be quiet. We've got casino bills to pass.
I wanted to ask you this question. Obviously, your activists are not the only ones who've been targeted recently. There's been a coordinated campaign against the leader of the family caucus here, Representative McGravy. Have you been following that fight? And tell us a little bit about what your group thinks about Republican leadership literally targeting the one pro-life leader here.
It is absolutely outrageous what they're doing to a pro-life hero, John McCravy. I mean, it's unbelievable. He is upholding the platform of the Republican Party to protect the innocent from the predatory abortion industry. And yet you have the Speaker of the House and his pack and his cronies going after trying to get him to resign. Yesterday, trying to take a vote to kick him out of the GOP caucus, trying to kick him out of the family caucus, which he founded. It's unbelievable and just shows you. And this is why people hate politics. This is why our students, when you ask them to come to the state capitol, like, oh, politics is dirty. These politicians don't really do what they say they're going to do. That's all they're doing. That's all Speaker Merle Smith and Wes Newton are doing. They're proving to the voters that they're all about staying in office. They're all about helping their buddies in the casinos. And when it comes to doing things that matter, like saving 3,500 babies every year from the violence of abortion, they can't be bothered.
Now, Majority Leader Davey Hyatt earlier this year gave a quote when they did not advance the pro-life bill that you guys are championing, said that we should focus on the lives we've already saved. When you heard that quote, let me ask you, how'd that sit with you?
My question when I hear things like that from pro-abortion people on campuses all the time is, why can't we do both? Why do you have a fixed, limited mindset and assume that we have to allow some babies to die in order to help other babies? This is the United States of America. This is the best country on earth. We have more than 300 million Americans. We have a federal budget that's trillions of dollars. Now, we have some cutting we need to do. Thank you, Doge. But we can do both. We're going to go to Mars. You're telling me we can't end abortion and serve women and families who courageously chosen life despite difficult circumstances? We can absolutely do both. Stop resorting to violent extremism in order to get your point across.
One last question for you, and it is a bit of a tough one. Some of these lawmakers have argued that they're simply following the lead of President Trump.
The orders.
Well, his position, obviously, during the last campaign was a step back from historic pro-life positions of the past. Do you feel that he's giving them cover? How do you see that dynamic impacting issues like this at state houses across the country?
President Trump was really clear last April. He believes that the Dobbs decision returned abortion back to states issues. It's actually an incorrect reading of Dobbs. Dobbs' decision said the decision of abortion goes back to people and its representatives. And there's, 400, 500 representatives in Washington, D.C. that are kind of our representatives. But I understand what the president's saying. He believes it means return to states. This is what John McGravy is doing right here. This is what the Human Life Protection Act is doing. We have returned the decision of abortion back to states, and the legislators here in South Carolina have the duty to protect the preborn children within their borders. This is exactly what President Trump said. They are doing, the Speaker, Wes Newton, are doing the opposite of what President Trump has said.
Kristen, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me. Washington, D.C. that are kind of our representatives. But I understand what the president's saying. He believes it means return to states. This is what John McGravy is doing right here. This is what the Human Life Protection Act is doing. We have returned the decision of abortion back to states, and the legislators here in South Carolina have the duty to protect the preborn children within their borders. This is exactly what President Trump said. They are doing, the Speaker, Wes Newton, are doing the opposite of what President Trump has said.
Kristen, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me.